Clap one on three. One, two, three. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're so glad that you're here. As always, I am your host, Lauren Ash, and as always, I am joined by my co-hostess with the most S, Christy Oxborrow. How you feeling?
I'm jazzed to be back.
Tell me something good. Didn't need to sing it for that long.
I
Feel
think
like
you
I,
did.
thank you very much. I feel like it crested, it waned, and I kept going. But you know what? You got to
I
cross the line to know where it is sometimes.
well, and I think that's what the people are here for. They want to know where's the line today.
Yeah, that's how I wake up most mornings. Where's the line today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, why not?
why not?
I don't
Why
know.
not?
I'm severely underslept,
Oh, I didn't
like
know
for
that.
no reason. No reason at all. I just could not sleep last night.
Hmm.
I was yawning while I was in bed and I was just not falling asleep. And I was awake for hours. And I had set an alarm this morning so that I could double check the notes because I was going swimming this afternoon. And so I ended up waking up before the alarm. And so I'm like, I'm riding on like a 3 to 4 hour if I'm lucky.
Right.
And I'm not sure where I am mentally, but
Right.
I have a good visual if my face isn't enough of a visual. I was recently in Edmonton, Alberta, and I we stopped at a Denny's on the way.
Sure.
Just get a solid breakfast in you before you get back on the road home.
Heck yeah.
And then I made the mistake of just being like, I should run to the bathroom
Hmm.
before we go, which is, never really a mistake until you find out when you walk past the bathroom, they've got a claw machine. And then I was like, well,
Okay.
we're here. We're just here. And I, I you put in $1 and one kid's trying and it you could tell by the claw that it would go down and just like kiss the toy and be like, "Oh, I didn't pick it up." And it's like, because this is rigged. I understand. And so one kid tries twice, the next kid tries twice. Yep, I'm $4 deep at this point. Do I want any of these plush that are in this thing? I don't. I don't. They're not worth the $4 I've already put into this. Too late. Somebody's got a toonie, so someone gets two tries. And I went in and I got this thing just barely. And it kind of teetered like, is it gonna fall in? So I had to pay another $1 for one of my kids to use the crane to like knock it in so we could get it. And I just want to say, based on its facial expression alone, it's seen some things.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I think I saved it from that Denny's, but I didn't save it from the trauma it's already experienced. Um,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
he's seen some things.
Those eyes tell a story, and the
They
story
do.
is
They
I'm
do.
scarred.
He is. He really is. There's something in them that's like I'm his savior for getting him out. But like he's cute. He's very, very soft. I did like rub the ears for the sake of the softness, but like those eyes are in your soul.
It's funny because on paper, you would think those kind of like glittery gold eyes would be whimsical. But
Yeah,
in person, in practice, there's a sadness to them.
there is hilariously and not even meaning to like connect it with the show. Um, Beanie Baby, like Thai products now mostly have these eyes.
Right.
And some of them, sometimes they're bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to obviously post a picture of this. And I was gonna make a joke of like, I got him from Denny's, so obviously his name is like, Grand Slam breakfast or something, as though it was like I should obviously name him Denny, but no, that's not a Denny. I can't look at him,
Yeah.
but I'm also like, I tried to pawn it off on my youngest because he loves a plush. And so I was like, he'd love this. And I was like, you want this guy? And he just went, no.
Yeah. But
And
you
so
know what? That makes me feel even worse for the elephant.
I know that's why I'm like, well, I guess I have to keep them.
Maybe he's Dumbo's less exciting younger
Oh,
runt brother or something. Like feels like he was maybe like the Ashley Simpson to Jessica, that
oh,
kind of
sure.
situation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because he definitely has the vibe of like, I could have been something.
Yeah. Now here's
Uh,
a fun fact.
yeah.
The Denny's claw machine phenomenon is one that has rocked our family for years. There was a period of time where my stepdad would, I mean, he could win every time. Yeah.
Bless.
Yeah. There was a lot of toys out of that claw machine. Yeah, he's really good at it. I think part of the key is like going for the one that is plausible as opposed to like
Yes.
the toy that you want.
Yes. Which does remind me of recently on that trip, went to an arcade
Hmm.
and there was this massive claw machine, and my heart was set on the plush package of ramen
Cute.
because it was like ramen with like the little face, and I was like, it's so perfect. I love it. And I wanted it so bad, but I tried to get the easy one, which was just some purple like spherical monster. I don't know what it was. And I tried to get it. I did not do well. I walked out with nothing.
Right.
But
Do you remember when we were kids and we went to, I want to say it was a Fuddruckers.
oh, that's more than possible.
It was in the daytime. We got dropped off. This was when we were like 13, maybe.
They left us alone. I mean, at 13, I guess, but
We were constantly getting dropped off. They left us at the pool that time, remember?
they did. You're right. My God, you're right. It was a different
Yeah.
time.
Listen, it is what it is. But we went to this, like, I want to say it was called a Fuddruckers. There was like a full arcade. And then we went to a used bookstore. And that's when I was on the hunt, desperately trying to find a magazine that had Mark Wahlberg in his underwear, the
Right.
Calvin Klein, the famous Calvin Klein ad. I was
Right.
desperate to try and find that
Hmm.
ad. And I did. I remember I did. And then
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
remember like I bought this like it was like a Rolling Stone. It was like an old issue of Rolling Stone, and like you like flipped in, and like one of the first pages was Mark Wahlberg in his underwear. Again, the famous Calvin Klein image. If if
Of
if you're
course.
if you're too young to know what that is, just Google it. It'll come up for you. But I remember then we were like talking to your parents, and like I was saying like this, like I was talking about my treasure I had found, I guess. And then I remember
Hmm.
your mom was like, "Well, I know what to get you for Christmas, like one of those shirtless hot men calendars." And I remember I earnestly was like, "No, no, I don't like that. Only him."
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because you like the one doesn't mean you're gonna like the other, like them all.
No, and I wanted to, for some reason, I felt like I wanted to make it clear that I'm not just about any old shirtless person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a creep.
Right. He's got to come with a funky bunch. There has to be a funky bunch trailing behind him for you to have an interest. Like, look, no, mid 90s, early 90s Mark Wahlberg. I get it. I,
Right? That's
yeah,
bigger than all of us. Yeah, I was looking for
yeah.
the energy of a born and raised Boston kid who grew into a man that may have killed someone accidentally in a bar fight. You know, that's the energy that I want in my shirtless underwear ad.
If you're gonna look at a shirtless underwear ad and possibly hang it on your wall, you better look at it and immediately hear the word Maki.
I want to hear Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I want Milwaukee to be talking about how you don't understand. You want me to come and be where you are? I need to have a script. I need to have a script in order to fully do my Mark Wahlberg impression.
I'm still completely in love with you.
God bless.
Um, it's just it makes so much sense because also the underwear ad was, I'm gonna say, more tastefully done than probably any of those shirtless calendars.
There is an energy that was captured in that photo, okay? He's got his fingers kind of in the bottom of the shorts.
Shit.
His head is tipped. He seems to be genuinely laughing. What I'm realizing in this moment is that that image is burned in my brain. But I think there is something special about that photo. I don't think it was just him being shirtless. I think it was like a caught moment for me that clearly has gotten itself into my soul.
Okay. So I was gonna do Mark Wahlberg underwear, but then I was like, I can't. So I did Google Mark Wahlberg. Oh my. Mark Wahlberg, Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
Now, from the looks of it, yeah, I think it was a candid
It feels like, again, it feels like a caught moment.
because we've got this,
Oh, God.
but then the one that made me go, "Oh my God, what are we doing?" Um, God, are we gonna end up posting these? Who knows?
Okay, that's another famous image. Yes.
Or he's just grabbing his sack.
He's
Just
grabbing his junk.
he's
That
grabbing
one I
all of
responded
it.
to less. It was the effervescence of the smiling photo for me.
Yes. Well, oh no, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Why are they all colorful now? I don't want in color. Oh no, there it is. Because I saw one where tell me that he doesn't look exactly this way in the movie Fear,
That was him in his prime. If you ask
right?
me, yeah.
Yeah. Well done. Back then, Marky. Now,
Wild
no.
horses could not drag me away. Remember that? That's what's playing when he finger blasts her on the roller coaster
On
ride.
the, oh, if you think that isn't burned in my brain, shouldn't be. Shouldn't be.
Oh, I think that there's a contingent of all of us who are from that era. Yeah, that's not what I want.
No.
I think there's a contingent of people from that era, like anybody who saw Fear when it came out. Like if you were in the age group that you would
That was
see Fear
appropriate for that. Yes.
when it came out, I think all of us were affected by that roller coaster scene. Am I wrong?
No, you can't be. That movie is over 30 years old and I still think about it.
Right?
The
I
fact,
remember it in as much
yeah,
vivid detail as I remember that
yeah.
photograph of Mark Wahlberg, you
Well,
know?
did you know this photo existed?
Never seen that before.
From far away, I thought it was Joey Lawrence.
It does have, yeah, I don't love the brush cut, I'm gonna be honest.
I don't love the tan line.
You know who I think the only person for me, the only man for me that really pulls off a brush cut? Channing Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
get that. I get that.
I like him with the mop top. I like him with the hair, but like him with a brush cut, I'm like,
What
I'm interested.
what I'm annoyed with
Talk to me.
is I knew going into this episode, I was like, the case file is going to be huge because I'm going to have to narrow it down because I have so many photos that I want to post for
Of
this
course.
specific episode. And then I opened my mouth and was like, here's this elephant. And I was like, obviously I'm going to have to post this elephant.
Hmm.
But I'm like, it's only one. I'll just toss it in the case file with the rest of it and it'll be fine. But now I'm like, do I now have to do a separate album that's just the elephant and all of these Mark Wahlberg photos?
I'm very sorry, but the answer is yes. And I might also add, we might need to find that clip from Fear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, is he terrifying in that movie?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you watch it and not realize in the moment how toxic and horrific he was to her? Of course. I had no idea. I knew he wasn't a good guy because the music let me know. Like there was some like uh, dark moments. I mean, and the dog, which we won't get into.
Wait, so
But
you're telling me that by the time the movie was over, you were still like, he's not that bad a guy. You still thought that?
um, no, not the full end. the time, like once I'm so sorry. I love that I'm worried about spoiling it. It's been 30
It's been
years.
30
Let it go.
years.
Um, Again, I probably haven't seen it in well over 20. But
Really? I
I
watch it once every
remember,
year or two, believe it or not.
do you?
I always
Good for
revisit
you.
Fear. Yeah.
Good for you. Um, for me, I mean, even when he was like the ink on the chest, pounding his chest, all of that, I was like, okay, he really loves her because I was broken. Was. Um, but for me, the moment where I was like, this, he might not be the right one, it was when he attacked her family at the house and killed the dog,
Wait a second. Wait a second.
which is like
I
the last scene of the movie.
Yeah, it's gone pretty far at that point. That's also when he's like beaten the shit out of her best friend. He's killed her best friend at this point.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
sexually assaulted her other best friend. And
Hmm.
throughout all of that, you were like, well, he really likes her.
Yeah. Yeah. There
Oh
was,
my God.
yeah, there was, oh God, I have no good reason for it. No, that roller coaster.
Yeah.
That was the moment I was like, wow. And I was like, he only had eyes for her. And it's like, he was horrific and
Yeah.
abusive.
Yeah.
Like, and so many things. What year did that movie come out? I'm
I
gonna
want
look
to
it
say
up.
1995. Tell me I'm wrong.
Interesting.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I was gonna say like a 93, but you're probably right. Well, we're both wrong.
Oh,
96.
get out of here.
18A. That makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah, there
was
was
not
a
18.
lot of themes. There was a lot of themes.
And I bought that movie like as soon as it was physically possible for me to own it. Like I should not again that roller coaster really broke me in a way. I was scrolling through the cast, but what I love is if more like this, if you like this, you might like Cruel Intentions.
Eh.
The Crush.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, I
with
don't
Alicia
even know what that is.
Silverstone, right?
Yeah. Basketball Diaries. So
Same.
they're just pointing to like a moment in time.
For a moment like this, Mark Wahlberg will commit a crime. In a moment like this, he'll punch someone so hard they die.
And yet I won't think he's bad until the end of the movie.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
Yeah. I think and this is both bold of me to be willing to say and vulnerable. I think if at that point in my life a boy had shown me any interest outside of my dreams, I might have been like, maybe Mark, like I might have seen the red flags and gone,
Right.
that's bad. But watching that movie, I was like, wow, he really liked her, like immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's amazing is
Mhm.
that, I've known you my entire life and I can still learn things about you. It's always a joy for me. And
Yeah.
this is a moment where I'm going, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
I hear you though. I get it. You're saying that it's like, I was maybe you were also, by the way, maybe patriarchy, the societal
Oh,
patriarchy
sure.
was making you think, oh, is this really that bad? What have you? I mean, listen, did I watch Mad Love repeatedly,
Hmm.
repeatedly, and think maybe if I was crazy, I'd get a guy?
Yeah, look, I don't know that the 90s set us up for
To succeed?
success.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there are so many, and I've seen so many like TikToks about it, but like shows like Boy Meets World, where like the main character, Corey Matthews, um, you're supposed to root for him, but when you watch it, you're just like, what a horrific person he is.
Yeah, I mean, I want to remind you there's an entire series called Zach Morris's Trash where they just break
Right?
down an episode of Saved by the Bell per episode of that show talking about what a piece of trash Zach Morris is, and they weren't wrong. But at the time, he seemed like a hero.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like they had all these shows and they were like, this is the kind of guy girls should like. And then we look back at it now and we're like, oh my God, no.
Well, I keep seeing this meme, and I haven't fact checked this, but I keep seeing this post online that's talking about how Gen Z thinks that American Pie, the original American Pie movie, is like deeply problematic.
Just because he fucks a pie or
Well, I guess there's
because
a
of
lot of
everything with Nadia?
I
Nadia?
think there's a lot. Yeah, thank you for that. I think there's a lot of themes in that movie that they deemed inappropriate or problematic or whatever. And listen, I'm not here to say that that's wrong. What I'm here to say is, yeah, and we all thought it was normal. So give us some slack.
Yeah,
Cut us a break.
this is exactly what needs to happen now. Yes, if they're going to see the stuff that we grew up with that was shoved at us
Hmm.
and told, this is what you're supposed to do, this is the normal, this is how it's supposed to be. And then you look at it now and go, wowzer, no thank you. That's inappropriate. Yeah, maybe that's the moment you go, oh, wow, they were really brainwashed in a way that they shouldn't have been. So just, be gentle to the elder millennials.
Yeah, give the millennials a bit of slack. That's what I would say. Like again,
Yes.
I want to remind you in Clueless, they were trying to convince us that Brittany Murphy was fat. It's like again, it was
Right.
the time in general was fairly problematic. So, I mean, Britney Spears when she came out and did that post babies, she did that MTV Video Awards or whatever performance, and everyone was like, "She's terrible. Look how bloated she is. Look how bad her body is." And if you look at it now, it's like she looked banging. She
She
was
did.
hot as hell,
Yes.
tiny, all of these things.
Yeah.
Again, it's just yeah, we were fed a lot back then.
Yeah.
And there was no counterpoint. Like there was no ability, like we didn't have the internet the way the internet exists now. So it wasn't like for every one of those things, you could find a place on the internet that would be safe for you or promoting the
Yeah.
opposite. It was literally like what you got fed in pop culture, films, movies, magazines, etc. You just got fed one thing and that's it. There was no
100%.
alternative.
I know this isn't the point. Was her name really Nadia? Did I really remember that? I
I'm
haven't
pretty
seen that
sure.
movie in like 20 years.
I've never gone back to it.
No, I never. Look, I'll say it. I may have had a crush on Jim. Should I have known his name was Jim? Because that was Jason Biggs, right?
Yeah.
And then
And Nadia,
there was
I have confirmed Nadia is correct.
Jesus. I don't remember watching that movie or that series a lot. I remember watching it and being like, "Oh, that's funny," and then just like moving on with my life. But I haven't seen it in so long. But I love that that's burned in my brain. Oh God,
Remember Blink 182 was in it?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember Good Charlotte was the band at the prom in Not Another Teen Movie.
Okay.
That I remember. God, what I love is now I'm like, was I right? I don't know. Um, God, I should, uh, just because I really, really desperately want to do the research, I should write a book about uh, the toxicity of like 90s movies, what they fed to us that,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is the character from this movie. He was the good guy and he fucked a pie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Although really, I think the least problematic thing is probably him
with the pie.
with the pie.
Yeah. Is it the whole like Stifler and Stifler's mom? Or
Again,
Stifler's mom and Shipbreak? God,
I
how do I
didn't
know these characters so well?
again, you claim that you only watched it once, and if that's true, then there's something in the water because you've just referenced so many characters by their names.
Yeah,
So
I
many plot
shouldn't.
points.
Like Stifler. Okay, Stifler's mom. Those make sense that I would remember. Jim is questionable that I would remember that as a character. Nadia, never. Shipbreak, maybe. But then I'm like, but I couldn't tell you who anyone. Well, I mean, I couldn't tell you anybody else. Well, Allison Hannigan was Michelle.
Michelle, you remember her character name?
She was the one time at band camp girl.
I understand that, but if you had put a gun to my head and said what was the time at band camp girl's character name, I would say pull the trigger. I have no idea.
It is Michelle, isn't it? Fuck, is it
Well,
Michelle? Oh no.
don't question
Because
it. I'm
also
sure you're right.
Tara Reid was in it, but I have no idea what her name was. And then Thomas Ian Nicholas or whatever his name is, he was in it, but I don't know what his name was either.
Oh,
But I
okay.
was so sure that Allison Hannigan is Michelle.
Um, 1999.
Wow.
It
I
was Michelle.
How did that stick with me so hard?
How did any of this stick with you this hard?
I don't
I
know.
will also mention that I do recall you really loving Shitbreak. Like I remember like that
Really?
concept, that character, that nickname. Like I remember that coming up a lot. So I guess I'm just finding it shocking to hear that you only remember watching it once. And I'm
Oh, I'm
not saying
sure
I don't
I've
believe
seen
you.
it maybe a few times, but like I don't recall being like, it's an American Pie night. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember being like, gotta get in there. But
I mean, I watched it. I think I watched it a fair amount.
yeah, I just don't think I watched it a lot. I mean, I definitely remember I've seen the second one and I've seen the reunion one, but then I don't think I've seen anything after that.
Remember Chris Klein in the Glee Club?
Chris Klein. Oh my God. And what's her name? Mina, the actress's name. Who was Chris Klein's love interest? And if we're gonna talk Chris Klein, we also have to talk Here on Earth, but that's a whole other story.
Of course.
I saw
Was it
Chris Klein in something
Mina
recently.
Suvari?
There it is. There it is. I saw Chris Klein in something recently and I like screamed and I said, "Oh my God, it's Chris Klein." And my husband just said, "Who is that?" And
Yeah.
I said, "You were obviously not a teen girl in the late 90s, early 2000s."
Yeah.
He's known for American Pie. Of course he is. So what have I seen him in recently though? Because he was definitely Fear Street Prom Queen.
Hmm.
He was the dad in that.
Is that a newish film?
Yes, that came out this year, probably within the last couple month or two, I think.
Mm.
But like he's still going. So many things I've never seen or heard of, but like bless him, he's still going. He was Oz. Oh yeah, in American Pie. God, I shouldn't remember it as much as I do.
I think what I'm learning is it, regardless of how much you did or didn't watch it, it made an indelible impression.
It it did. I think I was incredibly impressionable, even at like 18. And watching that, I was like, oh, well, that's like adult material. It's what I envision kids nowadays think of when they watch South Park. Or, kids my age who watched South Park back then. Um,
That's adult material is just an amazing quote. Like I just picturing a small child being like, "Oh, this program, it's adult material."
oh, I'm underslept. Did you know American Pie was the second thing Chris Klein did?
What was the
Third,
first?
first was Election.
Oh, okay.
Third, Here on Earth.
Listen, was that Katie Holmes?
I believe that was Lily Sobieski,
Excusez-moi.
where it's a love triangle with Josh Hartnett.
And see, what's remarkable is that I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't remember it, and I'm shocked that it wasn't on my
Oh.
my go-to because I want to remind you I watched The Faculty and
Yeah.
Halloween H2O virtually on repeat for the better part of 2 years because of Josh Hartnett.
Oh, yeah. I'm shocked that Here on Earth wouldn't have been a thing. I just envision, like, I'm trying to think of what it was about, and I'm just like, did somebody die in that movie? I don't know. IMDb says a rich college kid is taught a lesson after a joyride ends up destroying a country restaurant.
Oh.
And Chris Klein, of course, rich kid, driving a convertible.
Mm.
Josh Hartnett put on what appears to be a John Deere cap
Uh-huh.
to show he's the small town boy.
Well,
Oh, and then they're driving around, racing, and then they run into a gas station that causes the beloved local diner to go up in flames, based on the trailer that's running right on mute for me, right from IMDb. I'm not sure, but Lily Sobieski is in it. And then I'm just like, I don't know anybody else in this movie, but it is not highly rated.
well.
It's only a 5.2, but I remember owning it on DVD, and I used to once think that meant like it was a good movie. But I'm
Mm.
looking back now going, I think I just wanted to own a lot of movies because I don't
Listen,
know that
there's
that
nothing
was
wrong with
great.
that.
I mean, collecting my whole life, it's always something.
As I've always said, you're just a collector.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you drinking over there?
Well, I'm not happy about it.
Oh,
Like you didn't ask that part, but I'm drinking a Calypso strawberry lemonade
okay.
because I wanted a Wendy's strawberry lemonade and they were out. And I've never had that happen before. I've never like done a drive-through and then just kept driving and not like stopped and paid and picked things. Like it was a weird moment. And then I stopped at a store and I was like, I'll just get like a slush. The machine was down.
Mm.
And so I was like, I'm already here. I'm running late. And then I saw the bottle of Calypso and it said strawberry lemonade. And I was like, give it a go. But instead of drinking it out of the bottle, I was like, put it in a cup, put some ice cubes. It'll be just like a Wendy's. No, it won't.
And
No. I don't love it. There's a stronger, I don't even, I guess the strawberry is too strong for me in it. It's just,
hmm
it doesn't hit like I was hoping it would.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I have a water as a backup.
Well, listen, I'm on the water too. I'm on the water too. Um, well, listen, we should get into it. Let's
Yeah.
talk about this much anticipated Beanie Mania episode of the show. Um, Now I'm very excited to learn all of this, everything that's happening. And for those who don't remember Beanie Babies or what we're talking about, let me get you up to speed right now. In 1993, toy company Tie Inc. released a series of small plush toys called Beanie Babies. They were unlike anything on the market at the time, as most plush were hard and stiff, while these were soft and filled with plastic pellets. And while it took a few years for Beanie Babies to get noticed, by 1996, they had become one of the biggest toy crazes in history. But a few short years later, their popularity came to a crashing halt after their creator made a bad decision blinded by greed. So, what happened to Beanie Babies? Who was responsible for their creation? And how did a small plush toy lead to organized crime rings, counterfeit products, armed robbery, and even murder? Christy Oxborrow investigates.
This takes us on so many turns. I'm pretty sure I say it in my notes, but I just want to say it again. I thought, like, episodes back when I made a comment about I should do a Beanie Baby episode. I thought this was going to be a lighthearted romp.
Yeah.
Well, it comes with a disclaimer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, and it's we don't belabor the negative stuff that goes on, but I still want to let you know it's coming. So this episode will contain mentions of child abuse, molestation, and intimate partner violence.
Oh
So
boy.
trigger warning for those who need it. Harold Ty Warner, known simply as Ty, was born September 3rd, 1944 in Chicago, Illinois. His father, Harold, known as Hal, was a toy salesman, while his mother, Georgia, was a concert pianist. Hal and Georgia also had a daughter, Joyce, in 1949. According to Ty, he had an unhappy childhood. When he was 14, he was sent to St. John's Military Academy in Wisconsin. Some say there was absolutely no reason why he was sent there and that his parents just seemingly wanted to get rid of their son. But some claim that Hal caught Ty stealing and reselling TVs and stereos, and Hal worried this behavior was going to get him, you know, sent to prison. Um, so he, feared for his child's future and sent him to military school. Is that true? I don't know. Even if it is true, please do not confuse Hal as a good parent. Because Hal was abusive towards his children, like the time Hal locked Ty in a closet as a punishment for showing affection towards his mother.
Oh boy.
Or the time when Ty was only 5 years old and his father got rid of the family dog because Ty wasn't cleaning up after it.
Mm.
Or the times when Hal would hit his kids with a belt simply because his wife told him to and he didn't want to anger her. Hmm.
So mom
Um,
sounds like she's something too.
yeah. And if this all wasn't bad enough, Hal also molested his daughter Joyce for several years, starting when she was just 6.
Oh my God.
Joyce often ran away from home because of the abuse, and when she spoke to the police about it, they didn't believe her. At the
Ugh,
age of 9, Joyce told her mother, Georgia, about the abuse, and her mother disowned her at 9.
wonderful.
Later in life, Hal apologized to Joyce for the abuse, saying he only molested her so he would resist the urge to cheat on her mother.
Oh, that's so sick.
And that's a pretty horrifying excuse given that any level of child abuse is not justifiable by any reason. Um, when Joyce told Ty about their father's explanation, Ty said, Dad cheated on mom all the time. It's unclear if Ty knew about the abuse back when it happened, but when he heard about it as an adult, he was not upset about it in any way. After Ty was sent to military school, Hal and Georgia immediately separated, like dropped him off at the train station. He left. They immediately separated. They battled in court for 9 years until their divorce was officially settled in 1971. Georgia eventually remarried, but her second husband died in 1978. Georgia did have some mental health struggles, including a time when Joyce woke up to find her mother standing over her holding a butcher's knife.
Oh my
Joyce
God.
was a child at the time. In the 70s, Ty took Georgia to a mental hospital where she was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. It was never stated if she ever received any sort of treatment for
Right.
that. So Ty remained at military school until his graduation in 1962. He then attended Kalamazoo College in Michigan, where he majored in theater. He dropped out after a year and moved to Los Angeles to try and become an actor. Ty later claimed he only dropped out of college because he was struggling to pay for school. Um, but his father was paying for school, so I think he just didn't like it.
Hmm.
Not surprisingly, his attempt at becoming an actor was not successful, so Ty returned to Chicago in the late 60s, where he started selling cameras door to door. When that didn't end up being as lucrative as he hoped, Ty got a job as a salesman for Dakin, which was one of the most prominent stuffed animal companies at the time. There were nearly 700 different toys in the Dakin collection, and by the late 70s, Dakin was selling nearly 70 million toys worldwide every year.
Wow.
Fun fact, in 1978, Dakin partnered with Jim Davis to create different Garfield plushes, including the very iconic ones that suction cup to car windows. Those were specifically called Garfield Stuck on You. And they got so popular when they first came out, police in Los Angeles said people were breaking into vehicles just to steal the Garfields. The thieves would leave behind purses, stereos, and other valuables. They only took that $6 plush.
Wow.
They also make them nowadays. I don't know what company puts them out, but I have seen them recently. Um, so Ty Warner gets a job as a salesman for Dakin, and it turns out he's an absolute natural to the point where he was so successful that his yearly commissions totaled more than what the Dakin CEO was making at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah. Ty told people he was selling vacuums door to door when he ended up at the house of Dakin's CEO, who was so impressed by Ty's salesmanship that he hired Ty on the spot. That never happened. The truth was, Ty got the job at Dakin because his father, Hal, was a salesman there, and Hal agreed to take his son under his wing and make him like a sub salesman underneath him. So why would Ty lie about how he got hired at Dakin? Because this is a recurring theme with him. Whenever Ty finds any level of success, he removes anyone from the story who helped him get there so he can take full credit for himself. That's going to come up multiple times throughout this.
Interesting.
Um, and while his father was the one that got him the job, Ty was the one who became incredibly successful at it. He was charismatic, and it's almost like he put on a character to go do sales calls because he would show up driving a Rolls Royce, wearing a long fur coat and top hat, carrying a cane like some sort of pimp for plush. And somehow the buyers were so charmed by it. After a few years, Ty started like getting his own ideas for his own line of stuffed animals. At the time, traditional plush toys were so almost overstuffed that they felt like kind of hard, and Ty wanted something softer. He came up with the idea of purposely understuffing the toys and using PVC pellets to make the toys not only softer but also posable. Well, in 1980, Ty started approaching Dakin customers with his own products, thinking, well, they love me. They'll be more loyal to me than they are to the Dakin company. Well, he was wrong. And when Dakin learned that Ty had been trying to push his own products on their customers, he was fired. Ty's father left the company soon after, and father and son went into business together, selling a line of imported jewelry boxes. Unfortunately, Ty's plush salesmanship didn't translate in the jewelry box business, and their company quickly shut down. Ty then went into business with Pascal Capra, the craftsman who was refinishing the furniture in Ty's apartment. Ty and Pascal sold music boxes at trade shows together, and somehow it actually was going well. But then Pascal suggested, since it's going so well, they should raise the prices to increase their profit. But Ty refused, saying the only reason they were successful is because of their low prices. The two men couldn't agree on it, so Ty left the company, and shortly after, Pascal filed for bankruptcy. While Ty was still trying to figure out his next venture, his father, Hal, died from a heart attack while playing tennis in May 1983. Hal was 81 years old. And even though Hal was an abuser and a terrible father, he and Ty still managed to be incredibly close. Um, so close, in fact, that when Ty was an adult, he and his father often dated the same women, even at the same time. I'm going
What?
to give you a second to digest that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Ty's sister said that he was jealous of their father and his success with women, so Ty would often seduce women that his father had been with. At one point, Ty said to a friend, and this is a quote, "The only time my father was proud of me is when our girlfriend told him how good I was in bed.
Oh,
Again,
that's
I'll
so sick.
I'll give you a moment. Um,
That's, oh God.
yeah, like I don't think that they were like a throuple. Like I don't think that. I get the impression that it was like once that relationship's ended, suddenly the son steps in and is like, "You should date me instead." I'm just like, I don't know. No,
Yeah, I don't know that there's
no.
anything that could make it less creepy.
Yeah, no. Again, um, I originally assumed that a Beanie Baby episode was going to be light and fun,
Yeah, I
but
guess
just know, at least I had a great time making the case file
I couldn't be happier.
and hunting down the pictures, and what a delight. So, despite the abuse in his childhood, Ty seemed to idolize his father, and maybe that was because his father seemed to be well liked, and Ty was desperately searching for the attention that he lacked as a child. He had been abandoned in military school and has openly said his mother denied him love. So maybe he romanticized the only parent who would give him attention. I don't know. I'm not a professional. But after his father's death, Ty didn't tell his sister about it for 5 days. During that time, he cleared out their father's antique collection and either kept the items for himself or sold them and kept the money, which is another recurring theme in Ty's life, always putting himself before anyone else.
Wow.
Ty also told people the inheritance he got from his father was $50,000, um, but it was actually closer to 200,000. I think he just really wanted to make it seem like he made his own money and nothing was ever handed to him in any way.
Mm,
Um, Around the time of his father's death, Ty met Patricia Roche, who was described by author Zach Bissonette as, quote, bold and brassy, looks and acts like Liza Minnelli, which automatically means without having ever met Patricia, I'm immediately a huge fan.
yeah.
Um, Ty told Patricia about his dream to create a new plush toy that was softer than anything else on the market. He said his plan involved a low price and a high volume, and he said if they focused on detailed toys, they were guaranteed to be successful. Well, Patricia was immediately on board, and together they crafted Ty Ink. The first product that they produced was a plush Himalayan cat inspired by ones that Ty had seen on a trip to Italy. But the cats from Ty Ink would be understuffed and full of PVC pellets, which again not only make the toy softer, but also posable. So basically, that dream that Ty had while working at Dakin had finally come true. Within 6 months of starting to work together, Ty and Patricia's relationship turned romantic. That, of course, didn't make working together any easier. They fought constantly, but work wise, they were a great team. They attended conventions and toy fairs together, pushing these plush cats with their little heart shaped tags, which had the name Ty on them. Ty refused to sell to big box stores. He believed he'd receive a higher profit if he stuck to independent stores and the smaller mom and pop type shops. And it worked. Ty Inc. became immediately successful, not only with plush cats, there were also rabbits, bears, and dogs. Ty came out with a variety of lines, including one called Attic Treasures, which was modeled after vintage plush animals from Dakin. In 1992, Ty Inc. earned 6 million in profits.
Wow.
But then Ty came up with the idea of making those plush toys even smaller. He envisioned a plush that was only about 4 inches tall, each with their own name, and in 1993, Beanie Babies were born. Ty and Patricia sewed the first beanie samples together themselves at Ty's mother's apartment. As you may recall from earlier, Ty and his mother, Georgia, didn't have a great relationship. So Georgia wasn't the nicest host while Ty and Patricia were there. For example, Georgia told Patricia to her face that Ty would never marry her because she was an ugly whore. Extreme.
Way to soften it.
Yeah, extreme. Just extreme.
Wow.
Ty said nothing. He just let that happen. Georgia then started telling people that the reason the toys were understuffed was because Ty was filling them with illegal drugs. Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And after a few days of having Ty and Patricia in her apartment, Georgia got sick of it and left. And when I say left, I don't mean she simply went out for some air. I mean she stole Ty's car and left the state. He didn't know where his mother was for years.
Wow.
Yeah. Georgia later died in February 2002 at the age of 87. Not surprisingly, Ty and Patricia officially ended their personal relationship in February 1993, but it had nothing to do with his mother. When they first founded Ty Inc., Ty and Patricia were business partners, although Ty's name was the only name listed on any of the documents. And at first, neither of them took any money out of the business because they wanted it to be able to grow. But once they started finding success, they both started claiming a percentage of the business as their income. In 1992, Ty Inc. made 6 million in sales. I could not find how much Ty Warner made that year, but Patricia made $200,000, which is equivalent to about 458,000 in 2025. I believe they were equal partners at the time, taking equal percentages. It is more than possible that Ty took a larger amount. It is impossible he would have taken less
Right.
than what Patricia got. Well, shortly before their breakup, Ty suggested they make some changes to the company, like removing any title that Patricia had. And then, even though she was doing as much work as Ty from the very beginning, he then suggested they decrease her salary by 75%. Was he decreasing his own? Not even a little bit. Patricia played a huge role in making Ty Inc. successful, and once again, Ty Warner was trying to cut out the people who helped him get where he is so he could claim that he did it all by himself. Patricia started seeing someone else, and when she took her new boyfriend to Cancun, Ty showed up at their hotel and begged Patricia to take him back. She refused, and when she returned from her trip, Ty banned her from the company.
Wow.
Patricia later said Ty was controlling and that he had been physically abusive towards her on a few occasions, so she was happy to leave. A few months after things ended with Patricia, Ty started getting into plastic surgery, mostly on his nose and eyes, something that he continues to be obsessed with to this day. Um, Ty then started dating Faith McGowan, a newly divorced mother of two. Faith later said Ty was charming, although a little peculiar. In the early stages of the relationship, Faith and her daughters were hugely involved in the design process of Beanie Babies. Ty would show them prototypes and ask what worked, what didn't work, and he'd ask for name suggestions and future character suggestions. Speaking of which, I want to point something out, but to do so, I have to jump ahead a bit. So we're going to call this a grown ass man. Side note.
I love it.
In mid 1995, Ty was looking to add a ghost character to the Beanie line, but he couldn't quite figure out how to make the design. Faith's daughter, Jenna, who was in elementary school at the time, she drew a picture of a ghost on a paper tablecloth and she showed it to Ty. She called the ghost Spook. Ty immediately loved the design, ripped the drawing off the tablecloth, and months later, in October, Spook was officially released in stores. Inside the tags was a note that said it was designed by Jenna Boldebuck. Despite the beanies selling very well, Ty pulled them from shelves just 2 months later and then re released the character. And while the character looked exactly the same. Now its name was Spooky, and suddenly Jenna's name was no longer on that tag.
Interesting.
When asked about the designs, Ty Warner claims he designed each character himself.
Mm.
So, just as we've seen in the past, Ty tries to erase a person who helped him be successful so he can claim he did it alone. First, it was his father, then, it was Patricia, and now it was a child. So, jumping back, Beanie Babies were first introduced at the Smoky Mountain Gift Show in Gatlinburg, Tennessee in November 1993. The first 9 beanies released were Brownie the Bear, Chocolate the Moose, Flash the Dolphin, Legs the Frog, Patty the Platypus, Pinchers the Lobster, Spot the Dog, Splash the Orca Whale, and Squealer the Pig. Ty believed they'd be a huge hit with kids, and while kids did love the toys, they weren't selling like crazy, and at first it almost seemed like Beanie Babies were going to be a flop because it was never going to be kids that were going to make an inexpensive product a sellout success. It was going to be the adult collectors who don't know when to stop. And just to be clear, I am not judging those who become addicted to collecting because those are my people, and I am one of them.
Mm.
In 1993, Thai Inc. made 1.3 million, but by 1994, they were making 28 million a year. But that was really mostly thanks to their classic lines because at this point still no one really gave a shit about Beanie Babies. In June of that year, they released 19 new Beanie Babies, including Bones the dog and Quackers the duck, who are two of my personal favorites. What are my other favorite Beanie Babies? Thank you so much for asking. My top 5 of the classic beanies are Bones, Quackers, Patty the Platypus, Jake the Drake, and Princess, aka the Purple Bear that was released in honor of Princess Diana.
Everyone loved that one.
It was a stunning purple. It was a beautiful bear. Um, am I going to see if I can buy any of these for a reasonable price after we record this? Of course. If I do manage to find them, they're going to get a place of honor on those shelves behind me so we can all remember that I found them, assuming I don't forget. So, Beanie Babies may have existed as of 1993, but they didn't really hit their stride until 1995. During the gift show in Atlanta that year, buyers were looking to order more of Lovey the Lamb. It was a popular item that did especially well in hospital gift shops. However, Thai Inc. had secretly discontinued the lamb due to some sort of issue with fabric availability. But instead of telling buyers the lamb was discontinued, reps for Thai Inc. said that Lovey had been retired. And instead of being upset about it, the buyers immediately wanted to know, well, what other beanies are going to be retired? The reps simply said they didn't know, so to be safe, they should just stock up on everything. And they did. Ty Warner liked the idea of retiring beanies to manipulate the market and drive up interest, so he started retiring random beanies every few months. The idea of retiring beanies turned Beanie Babies into a full on frenzy. Parents who once started collecting beanies as a pastime they shared with their children were soon far more invested in their collection than their children. And since Ty Warner refused to do any interviews unless it was Oprah or People magazine, those collector moms were the ones doing TV interviews promoting the product. One of them even published her own monthly Beanie Baby magazine starting in 1997. Hundreds of thousands of copies were sold every month until the publisher filed for bankruptcy in 2001. The magazine featured stories and photos of the newest beanies, as well as checklists of the beanies that were available. And as one collector said, once you have a checklist, you don't look at what you have, you look at what you don't have, which is something I hadn't even realized before, but it is 100% accurate. And you know how much I love a checklist, but hearing this has made me rethink how I look at checklists in general. I should be focusing on the positive of what is there, not the disappointment of what is not. Did I just grow a little as a person? It's beautiful to see. But to be clear, this will never diminish my love of a list. So people start going crazy, searching for the beanies that they needed to complete their collection. And in 1995, employee Lena Trivedi approached Ty Warner with an idea. At the time, she was a 19-year-old sociology student who started working at Ty Inc. after responding to an ad for a telemarketer in 1992. Lena used computers at school for research, so she suggested to Ty that they make a website for the company. In 1994, 11 million American households had a modem equipped computer, and in 1995, that number jumped to 18 million. Unfortunately, at the time, Ty.com was already registered to a man in California who ran a tech consulting company. The man named the website after his own son, Ty. Ty Warner offered the man a small fee for the site. The man said no. So Ty Warner responded by suing the man, claiming that Ty was a trademarked name, as though he's the only person ever allowed to use it. Not surprisingly, the man won the suit, so Ty Warner offered the man $150,000, which is equivalent to about $316,000 in 2025, plus legal fees for that web name. The man officially agreed. So the plan for the new Ty.com was to be a resource for collectors and a place to make announcements about future products. The website was officially launched in late 1995. It featured a blog, message boards, chat rooms, information about every Ty product available. It was one of the first websites of its kind. In mid 1996, the website was added to the inside of the beanie tags, making Ty Inc. one of the first toy companies to promote its website on its product. And while they were changing the inside of the tags, which originally just said to with a blank space and from with a blank space, Lena also came up with the idea of adding a birthday for each beanie, as well as a short 4-line poem about each character. To run the idea past Ty Warner, Lena made a tag about a poem, or with a poem about the beanie Stripes the tiger. The poem read, Stripes was never fierce nor strong, so with tigers he didn't get along. Jungle life was hard getting by, so he came to his friends at Ty. Ty Warner felt that this set his plush apart and gave them unique personalities, so he asked Lena to write poems for the other 86 characters in the Beanie line, and he wanted it done in 3 days.
Oh my God.
Lena is credited with writing at least 136 of the character poems. Only one was written by Ty himself, and that would be the poem for Patty the Platypus, whom Ty named after his former girlfriend and former partner, uh, Patricia Roche. Let's see if you can guess that Ty made this beanie about her and that Ty wrote this poem on his own. Patty's poem reads, Ran into Patty one day while walking. Believe me, she wouldn't stop talking. Listened and listened to her speak. That would explain her extra large beak.
Oh my God.
It's hard to tell that he asked her to take him back and she said no.
Yeah, for real.
So, starting in 1996, each beanie tag featured a personalized poem and a birthday, which seems like it was just a random date along with whatever year they were released. So, of course, collectors were excited to try and get their hands on original beanies with older tags, hoping they'd be worth more money. The main beanie collectors seem to have started as a group of stay-at-home moms from Naperville, Illinois. Since Ty refused to do interviews, TV programs went running to these women, And they essentially helped Thai Inc. sales increase in 1996 by 1,000%.
Wow.
And while he was getting insanely rich thanks to these collectors, Ty Warner openly did not like them. He was angry that the collectors were making money off him by selling rare beanies for more money than they paid, or by publishing magazines and price guides about his products. Even though these things were all only increasing his own sales, Ty Warner loathed it, especially the secondary market. He even got angry enough to sue anyone who published a price guide, as well as the woman who published the Beanie World magazine, simply because she used the word beanie. He said that word belonged to him. She did have to change the title of her magazine to Mary Beth's Beanbag World. And just as Ty was getting angry about the existence of a secondary market, where people are buying beanies for the sole purpose of resale, the market got a major boost in 1996 with the start of eBay. At
Mm.
one point, 7 to 10% of the listings on eBay were Beanie Babies. Beanies were so popular on eBay, they had their own category on the site. It was called Beanies, but then Ty Warner threatened to sue them because they used the word beanie, that belongs to him. So eBay changed the category name to Beanbag Plush. By the spring of 1999, there were more than 79,000 beanies up for auction on the site. Around this time, everyone realized how popular Beanie Babies were, and a lot of people wanted in on the action. Big box stores constantly contacted Thai Inc., trying to get the product in their stores, but Ty Warner refused. And then fast food giant McDonald's reached out, hoping to do some sort of Happy Meal promotion with smaller versions of Beanie Babies. At first, Ty declined. Then he realized this would be a good way to bring his beanies to the people who aren't shopping at the boutiques where beanies are sold. So he said yes. I'm sure the fact that McDonald's agreed to pay $100 million for that promotion also helped sway his answer.
Yeah.
The first Teeny Beanie promotion was held in the spring of 1997. The first set had 10 different beanies, all smaller versions of pre existing characters. The set included Patty the Platypus, Pinky the Flamingo, Chops the Lamb, Chocolate the Moose, Goldie the Goldfish, Speedy the Turtle, just to name a few. In the first 10 days of the promotion, McDonald's sold 100 million teeny beanies. The promotion was meant to last 5 weeks. They were sold out within the first two. Some stores even sold out on the first day.
Wow.
Shortly after the promotion ended, the Chicago Cubs did a beanie promotion where they gave out a bear called Cubby, who was one of the first beanies released in '93 under the name Brownie. When the Cubs announced the giveaway, they saw a sold out crowd of nearly 38,000 people, which is impressive for a season where they'd been averaging less than 20,000 per game. So it should come as no surprise that after that, other baseball teams did similar promotions. Um, and in 1998, McDonald's decided to do a second promotion, this time with a new set of 12 teeny beanies. The promotion was even more successful than the first time, so not surprising, McDonald's has run a Thai Inc. promotion 9 more times between 1999 and 2021. But unlike the first promotion, things got a little more intense in 1998. Adults were waiting in long lines for Happy Meals and then throwing out the food and just keeping the toy. And some were willing to get into fistfights over the beanies. An 18-year-old McDonald's employee in Riviera Beach, Florida, was arrested for stealing 600 beanies from the store where she was working and then selling half of them to one of her coworkers. I'd love to know how much she sold them for.
Yeah.
But this segues beautifully to the section of this episode where we're getting into the darker side of beanies, because the violence and theft did not end with McDonald's. The beanie frenzy got so bad that people would follow UPS trucks and try and just steal entire boxes of stock. In 1998, the Thai logo had to be removed from shipping boxes to disguise them from potential thieves. A truck transport from for that was meant for Thai Canada, which was full of Beanie Babies, was stolen. The truck was later found. The $500,000 worth of stock inside was gone. In the late 90s, an armed, masked man walked into a gift shop in Sherman Oaks, California, and ordered everyone on the floor. The man broke a display case and took 40 beanies, which were valued at $5,000. He completely ignored the cash register and only took the beanies. It's like the Garfield suction cup thing all over again. Organized crime rings started breaking into stores to steal beanies to sell on the secondary market. Can you imagine? Like the mob. Can you imagine fucking Tony Soprano going to the strip club and opening like a suitcase or a briefcase full of Beanie Babies? And then he's like, hey, yo, I got that Princess Diana. Like, can you imagine? This is like, that's the Sopranos I want to see. Ah, there were counterfeit beanies. They were made in Beijing and shipped into the United States through eBay. A 77-year-old man in Chicago stole 1,200 beanies and hid them in a storage locker. In the spring of 97, a group of adults trampled children at a market in Connecticut just for the chance to grab a newly retired Garcia bear, which was named after Grateful Dead frontman Jerry Garcia. The bear had been retired because Jerry complained that Tie Inc. was using his name without permission. So the tie-dye bear was retired and replaced with a similar looking bear named Peace. Isn't it interesting that Ty would sue someone for using the name Beanie, but he had absolutely no problem using someone's real name to sell his product? Funny how that works.
Yeah.
And while it might not be surprising to hear that the beanie craze led to theft and violence, it might be surprising to know it also led to murder. In October 1999, 29-year-old Jeffrey White was working as a boilerman at the Elkins Hardwood Sawmill in Elkins, West Virginia. Jeffrey was dishonorably discharged from the Army in 1989 for an AWOL-related offense. He then had a series of convictions for writing bad checks and grand theft auto. In 1999, Jeffrey was running a side business where he bought and sold things like stereos, sports cards, and guns. Jeffrey then managed to get his hands on a beanie called the Millennium Bear. It cost him $60, but he was easily able to sell it for $80. So he suddenly believed that there was easy money to be had in the beanie secondary market. So Jeffrey started helping a friend sell some of her beanies, and he invited a coworker over to his house to see the beanies. Harry Simmons was the night shift supervisor at the sawmill, and he said his daughter was interested in beanies. They ended up trading 5 beanies for a gun. I, I don't even know. Um, Not done with the beanie market, Jeffrey asked to borrow $150 from Harry so that he could buy more beanies to try and make a profit. When Jeffrey didn't immediately pay Harry back, the two men got into a fight, and Jeffrey shot Harry 3 times in the chest and once in the head.
Oh my God.
He did also claim that, well, he pulled a knife on me, but police were like, you mean the knife that's in the case attached to his belt? And he was like, yeah, yeah. Harry Simmons was 63 at the time of his death. Jeffrey White was sentenced to life in prison. A few years into his sentence, he became certified in hospice care, and as of 2015, had taken care of 45 men in their final days.
Oh,
So it's lovely to see that he's doing trying to do some good where he is.
yeah.
I In the book that I read for this, the author went and interviewed Jeffrey in prison, and the first thing Jeffrey said to him was, "So those Beanie Babies still big now?" And the guy was, and this was in 2015, and he went, "God, no." It's like, I don't know.
God, no.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, no, no, they're really not. Um, But Beanie Babies are not the only toy craze that has led to violence. In 1983, Cabbage Patch Kids were so popular, fights broke out in stores. It got to the point where store managers armed themselves with baseball bats. In 1996, the release of Tickle Me Elmo caused a full on frenzy, which led to a Walmart employee in New Brunswick, Canada, being trampled by shoppers. He suffered a pulled hamstring, a broken rib, and a concussion. In 2006, a 10-year anniversary version of that Elmo was released, and things got so crazy, a man in Tampa, Florida was robbed at gunpoint for the Elmo. Again, that's all they wanted was just that Elmo. And really, even now in 2025, the craze over Labubus got so violent that the monsters were pulled from shelves in the UK due to fights breaking out in stores. So, why are people getting so violent over toys? It seems mostly because they believe the toys are worth far more than they are. Because at some point, specifically in the beanie world, people started publishing price guides projecting how much each beanie would be worth 5 to 10 years in the future. And some were listed in the thousands. I don't know how they came up with these projected values. I assume they did math based on how much they were going for on the secondary market at the time. But in reality, every single person who published a price guide was just kind of making up the prices as they go. But some of the beanies, in the secondary market, were doing very well. Beanies in March of 1997 were selling on the secondary market for $25 to $35. 2 months later, they were selling for twice that. So a lot of people were convinced if they stocked up on beanies, especially the ones being retired, they would make a huge profit years later for either their own retirement or their children's future college fund. In August 1999, Francis and Harold Mountain went through a brutal divorce where they could not agree on anything. 4 months later, they were on their hands and knees in a Vegas courtroom divvying up their Beanie Baby collection, which was said to be worth between $2,500 and $5,000. There is an iconic photo from the moment, which I not only posted in this case file, but also came up in a previous episode, which is what led me to even doing this episode in the first place. And my dream was to find the entire backstory for that couple, but there is so little about them on the internet. One Reddit user claims the beanie collection belonged to Frances, and Harold was forcing her to split them out of spite because Frances had been given full custody of their 3 children.
Mm.
I wasn't able to determine if that was accurate. Um, but based on the photos, since there are a lot of doubles amongst the beanie piles, I have to assume that collection was meant as an investment because there were at least 3, 4 legs in there. And by legs, I mean the frog. I am,
I I uh I knew who you meant.
just, I just wanted to be clear. I assumed you knew. Um, Fun fact, the first beanie that Francis chose was maple, a white bear with a Canadian flag on its chest. It was estimated that maple would one day be worth maybe $4,000. In July 2025, a mint condition maple bear went for less than 14 on eBay.
Oh boy.
Chris Robinson, who played Dr. Rick Weber on General Hospital from 1978 to 1986, started collecting Beanie Babies in 1998, believing he was saving up for his children's college fund. He spent more than $100,000 on beanies. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that Beanie Mania was about to come to an end.
Ooh.
Yeah. According to a poll in the magazine USA Weekend, 64% of Americans owned at least one Beanie Baby in 1998. I guess that explains why Thai Inc.'s profits that year were 1.4 billion.
Wow.
Ty Warner's personal income that year, 700 million. At this point, Lena Trivedi, who came up with the idea for the Beanie poems and Beanie birthdays and the full website, she was still making $12 an hour. When she asked for a larger salary, Ty refused, so Lena quit. At the Thai Inc. Christmas party in 1998, each of the nearly 300 employees were given a bonus the same size as their full salary. The next year, instead of money as a bonus, Ty Warner chose to give his employees each a special beanie that he had made called the Billionaire Bear. Only 478 were made, and each was numbered and personally signed by Ty himself. So I guess even Ty was buying into the hype that beanies were a worthwhile investment, or he was simply trying to save a lot of money on Christmas bonuses. On Christmas Eve that year, Ty's girlfriend Faith caught Ty at a hotel with his former girlfriend Patricia.
Mm.
As an apology, Ty gave Faith an engagement ring. Although he never officially proposed, he just simply started telling people they were engaged. Um, at one point, Ty told Faith that because he was emotionally abandoned as a child, he needed to be taken care of like a 5-year-old boy. Not surprisingly, Faith and Ty eventually broke up in 2001.
Mm.
By 1999, Thai Inc. had produced more than 250 different Beanie Babies, but sales had started to slow down. So Ty Warner came up with a plan that he believed was going to reignite the beanie frenzy. In the fall of 1999, Thai Inc. made an announcement on their website which stated all Beanie Babies would be removed from store shelves December 31st at 11:59 p.m. and all of them would be retired. In the same post, Ty released a final bear, which was called The End. It was black with fireworks and its name embroidered on its chest. His poem read, all good things come to an end. It's been fun for everyone. Peace and hope are never gone. Love you all and so say so long. And while Ty expected beanie collectors to go crazy with one final push of the product, most of them were just pissed off. So much so that they felt manipulated and they took the announcement as their sign to start selling their own collections. What the public didn't know was Ty had big plans for the company. He wanted to move away from plush animals and release a new line inspired by Cabbage Patch Kids. The line was a series of human looking characters called Beanie Kids. When Ty showed a prototype of the Beanie Kids to his ex, Patricia, she told him straight out the dolls were ugly and no one is going to buy them. Ty said, quote, I could put the Ty heart on manure and they'd buy it.
Then why was he asking her opinion?
Right? Don't love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah. But it didn't take Ty long to realize that people were not happy with the retirement announcement. So on Christmas Day, he posted a poll on the website saying, After much thought, I'm willing to put the fate of Beanie Babies in your hands. You make the decision. You have inspired the Beanie Babies line through your devotion to them. People were then given a chance to call a phone number and pay 50 cents to vote whether Beanie Babies should stay or go. The money raised went to the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation. I mean, so that's something. On January 2nd, 2000, Thai Inc. announced that they received nearly 210,000 votes and that 91% of people voted to keep Beanie Babies alive. According to Thai's former girlfriend, Faith, the real number of votes received was closer to 1/10 of that number. The entire sales stunt was a massive flop. He just really thought it was going to sell everything out, and it just went the other way. 3 days later, 71 Thai Inc. products were released, including 12 from the old Attic Treasures line and 31 Beanie Babies, including a white bear with silver stars called The Beginning. 3 days after that, they released Beanie Kids, but this big push to try and renew interest in beanies did not work. Even though Ty released another 20 new beanies less than 2 months later, sales dropped more than 90%. The retirement move pissed off the very collectors who made Ty successful in the first place. Not only did it make the beanie regulars stop buying the product, it also crashed the prices in the secondary market, which hurt all the people who purchased the beanies as an investment. So, what happened after the beanie market crashed? Well, in the late 90s, Ty's ex-girlfriend and ex-partner, Patricia Roche, moved to England, where she became the wholesaler of Ty products in the UK. She became incredibly successful. Not much is known of what she's up to currently. All I know is at one point in 2005, she became the president of a rugby club.
Oh,
And I just am so charmed by that. And I'm like, why don't I move to England and just become the president of a rugby club? Have you seen them warm up in rugby? Yeah, I don't even have words. Circling back to Marky Mark in his underwear. Um, After Ty and Faith McGowan broke up, he gave her a house worth $5 million. She and her daughters moved to Santa Barbara, where they lived a private life. Faith wrote a memoir about her time with Ty, but when she started shopping it around, Ty called her, and Faith changed her mind about releasing the book. The couple remained in touch until Faith's death in 2013 at the age of 55. Ty did attend her funeral. And speaking of Ty Warner, he claimed a loss of 39 million on his tax return in 2004. The IRS found that suspicious. So they started looking into his financials. They discovered that Ty had a secret Swiss bank account containing $107 million. Ty started the account in 1996, which happens to be the very same year that Ty promised to build his sister Joyce a $100,000 house, but then backed out saying he couldn't afford it. He also refused to give Joyce a $1,000 loan, and when she needed hip replacement surgery but couldn't afford it, Ty refused to help out financially and told Joyce to just go ask one of her children for the money. Ty was arrested for tax evasion, an offense which can mean up to 57 months in jail. In September 2013, Ty pleaded guilty and agreed to pay a civil penalty of $53.5 million. And likely because Ty Warner is a rich white man, the judge decided to go easy on him and sentenced him to 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service. When asked about the sentence, the judge said he believed it was fair because of Ty's history of charitable contributions and the public humiliation he suffered following his arrest. First of all, the public humiliation should not have been considered at all. This man is a billionaire and was caught hiding money in a foreign country. I don't care if he was embarrassed publicly. Fun fact, when Ty appeared on the Forbes list of the 400 richest Americans in 1999, he gave a copy of that Forbes magazine to each one of his employees. So I don't get the feeling that he embarrasses easily.
Yeah.
And secondly, the charitable contributions might seem impressive, but when you compare it to his actual wealth, it's embarrassing. Over the span of 14 years, Ty Warner donated 35.7 million to charity, an incredibly impressive amount. However, it works out to about 2% of his net worth at the time. According to Forbes, as of March 2025, Ty Warner is number 519 on the billionaires list with a net worth of $6.4 billion.
Wow.
And it's not just the profits from Ty Inc. that keep him so wealthy. It's also due to the fact that he has investments in numerous hotels and resorts, including the Four Seasons in New York, the Sandpiper Golf Course in Santa Barbara, Kona Village Resort in Hawaii, and a resort in Los Cabos, Mexico. I never feel like I'm saying things right. Shortly after his relationship ended with Faith, because he cannot stay single long, 77-year-old Ty started dating 65-year-old Catherine Zimmy. They were together for 20 years. Catherine then sued Ty for half of his Montecito estate, which was worth $400 million. Catherine alleged that throughout their relationship, Ty physically abused her, including squeezing her throat multiple times. She said that he kept her under constant supervision and reprimanded her for not finishing meals or for coughing excessively. I don't even know. Catherine said she feared for her well-being and safety. Ty's lawyers called the suit a money grab, and the case was eventually thrown out. In May 2025, 42-year-old Russell Fay broke into Ty's Montecito home and viciously attacked 60-year-old Linda Malik Aslanian. Fay allegedly broke in and then, for unknown reasons, started kicking and stomping on Linda before dragging her onto the front lawn. When the police arrived, Fay barricaded himself in a second-floor bathroom before trying to escape out the window. He was quickly apprehended. Fay has a history involving assault, stalking, and menacing. He had recently been released from prison following a violent assault against his wife. Fay was charged with first-degree attempted murder. Linda was in a coma due to a head injury, and as of this record, there has been no public update on her condition.
Jeez.
Ty was home at the time of the incident. I kind of assume he was the one who called the police. And while there are rumors that Ty and Linda were romantically involved, he has not publicly said so one way or the other. It also appears that Fay did not know Ty or Linda and that this was completely random. As of this record, Fay has yet to be sentenced. So what happened? So we know about the people, but what happened specifically to Ty Inc. since the Beanie Baby fiasco? Well, I mean, you can probably assume, based on Ty Warner's current net worth, it's still going strong. While it might not be one of the top companies anymore, they still continue to crank out plush products. In the late 90s, they brought out a line of ultra soft plush that were specifically designed for babies. The eyes and nose were embroidered on, as opposed to being buttons like a typical Ty product. The line were simply called Baby Ty. In 2002, they released another line of ultra soft plush called Pluffies, at this point, they're not even trying. Um, but so they were like the baby ones, but they actually had the button eyes and button nose. And speaking of the Pluffies, as Lauren may recall, it was a Thai Pluffies penguin that she suggested I buy for my oldest son when I was in Toronto in 2007. And sure enough, that damn penguin became so beloved in my home that I had to make it a sweater because my son was worried it would get cold leaving the house. When I say sweater, I mean I cut up a sock and voila. Um, did I also have to make a second sweater because my child was taking the penguin to show and tell on a day at school when everyone was told to wear red and my son wanted the penguin to also be wearing red? Yes. That time, the sweater was the leg of an old pair of sweatpants. What I'm trying to say, parenting is never boring. Um, in 2004, Thai Inc. signed their first licensing deal and started producing famous character plushes like Garfield, Hello Kitty, Dora the Explorer, SpongeBob SquarePants, Marvel, Disney, professional sports teams, and more. And just like that, all Thai products, or just like all Thai products, these plush also have that classic red heart tie tag attached to their ear. Um, they still, to this day, make the licensed products. That makes up 40% of the company's annual revenue. In 2007, Thai Inc. introduced Thai Girls, girls with a Z on the end. They were plush dolls that looked suspiciously like Bratz dolls. After Barack Obama became president in 2009, Thai Inc. released two girls' dolls called Sweet Sasha and Marvelous Malia, inspired by Obama's daughters. They weren't given approval for this, they didn't ask for approval. And then, after complaints from the first family, Ty changed the names of the dolls to Sydney and Mariah. Again, it's always funny to me that Ty got bothered if people made money off him, but he had no problem making money off other people. Um, Shockingly, the Ty Girls line was discontinued in 2012. In 2008, Ty felt the dust had settled enough on the Beanie implosion that he released Beanie Babies 2.0. The main difference between these and the originals was this line involved an online component. Basically, he was ripping off Webkins, which was a very popular thing at the time. Webkins was a plush animal that came with a special code that you could go online and unlock that character in an unlock on an you could unlock the character in an online world known as Webkins World. Unfortunately for Ty, they couldn't compete with Webkins, and that line failed miserably and discontinued a year later in May 2009. But a month after that, Ty released Beanie Boos, a slightly more stuffed version of a Beanie Baby, but with these massive glittery eyes, kind of like a adorable figure if you've seen them, or like that weird elephant that I showed earlier. There were seven Beanie Boos in the first release, including Bamboo the panda, Bubblegum the koala, Coconut the monkey, Kiwi the frog, Peanut the elephant, Slush the husky, and Waddles the penguin, which is kind of a version of the Pluffies penguin because the Pluffies penguin I bought was also called Waddles. Um, in 2021, oh, sorry. The Beanie Boos line was so popular, it remains one of their biggest collections to this day. And in 2021, Ty updated the Beanie Boos look and released a line called Beanie Bellies, which are kind of the exact same thing with the same eyes, maybe a little bit smaller eyes. I don't know. At this point, they're all starting to look the same to me. In 2020, Ty released Puffies, not to be confused with Pluffies that were released in 2002. The Puffies were in the shape of a ball. Um, and then I think because people were like, Puffies and Pluffies are basically the same. They changed the name of Puffies to Beanie Balls. In 2024, Ty released Beanie Bouncers, which is also in a ball shape, but they actually bounce because I think they have an actual like ball in them. I didn't look far enough into it. Uh, Ty also released a collection called Squishy Beanie. I don't know when they came out, but they look an awful lot like Squishmallows, to which I
Mm.
say, Ty, stay in your lane. According to Beaniepedia, as of this record, Ty Inc. has created 6,019 different beanies. I posted various Thai products in the case file, which I can easily say is likely the most pleasant case file I'll ever do for this show. And while I was at it, for the sake of science, I did a picture comparing some of the different Thai collections. Basically, I chose an animal at random and then found pictures of that same animal throughout the different collections so that you can see the differences. For whatever reason, I chose a raccoon. Why wouldn't I? And I compared it as a Beanie Baby 2.0, a Beanie Boo, a Beanie Balls, a Squishy Beanie, and a Beanie Belly. It is hard to feel like an adult having said the sentence I just said. Um, I'm sure there are raccoons in some of the other tie lines. I just wanted an example to show how different, but also how similar some of these lines are. So if you're interested in my comparison experiment, you can check out the case file on Instagram and Facebook at True Crime and Cocktails. Since I said it was for the sake of science, did I learn anything after my little photo experiment? I did. Thank you for asking. It turns out that I immediately fell in love with the raccoon Beanie Belly. His eyes have a sadness that I am just immediately drawn to. And funny enough, the other day, while on a break from writing these very notes, I was at a store and just happened to come across a rack of Beanie Bellies. And who was sitting on top?
Oh my God, he's so cute.
His name is Petey. That's Ty's choice, not mine. But he's beautiful and I love him. And this is not an ad, but look at that little face. They're just, I can't. Well, he's going to go back there on the shelf because that little face is killing me. Um, so even though it has been proven that a lot of people helped Ty Warner become the billionaire that he is, I have to admit he is a marketing genius. His product was solid and inexpensive, and by only selling to smaller independent stores, he limited the supply available, which caused an outright sensation. He, of course, believes he achieved that level of a success himself. Uh, when anybody pushed back on him for claiming he did it alone, and claiming he had absolutely no help, Ty said, quote, "Who's the billionaire here? I am." After the death of Princess Diana in August 1997, Thai Inc. released a bear less than 2 months later in her honor, with the proceeds going to the Diana Princess of Wales Memorial Fund. It was an exclusive bear, with stores only receiving 12 each. And of course, people went crazy for them, and Thai Inc. was able to raise more than $20 million for the Memorial Fund. Oh, Petey's now in the way of my notes. I can't hate him for it. Uh, but the only reason people bought them was because they believed, due to the limited number of bears, they would be worth thousands of dollars in the future. As of this record, those bears are selling on eBay for roughly $30.
Mm.
Ty Warner took full credit for that bear, but it turns out it was his ex-girlfriend Faith McGowan who originally came up with the idea. According to Faith, quote, "All good ideas were ties, regardless of who first suggested them. The idea for Beanie birthdays, Beanie poems, the Beanie website, and even the retirement of beanies had all originated with other people. One thing you can say for Ty: when he recognized a good idea, he got it done, but he also took ownership of it. Because Ty Warner wanted to take all credit for the success of Beanies, but he wasn't willing to admit to the part he played in their downfall. In a 2023 interview, Ty said the ending of the Beanie Baby fad wasn't avoidable. He said nothing could have been done to stop it. And while I agree the fad would have ended on its own at some point, I think it ended a lot sooner because of his greed. He thought retiring the entire line would cause a frenzy and boost sales, but his idea backfired and killed the secondary market, which was making him so successful. The entire Ty Warner Beanie Baby saga is told in the 2023 movie The Beanie Bubble. It's based on the Zach Bissonette book, The Great Beanie Baby Bubble, which I read as part of my research. The movie stars Zach Galifianakis as Ty, Sarah Snook as a character inspired by Ty's girlfriend Faith, and Elizabeth Banks as a character inspired by Ty's ex-partner, Patricia. Elizabeth Banks, of course, was in the movie Definitely Maybe with Ryan Reynolds, who did a voice in the movie The Croods with Nicolas Cage. For those playing along at home, the Cage Connection game has officially reached level 5. Whatever you got to do for joy, folks. In August 2023, Ty Warner did his first interview in years with the New York Post simply to voice his displeasure about the movie. Ty said the movie was 90% made up and it overstated the contributions of the women in his life, including Patricia and Lena. Still doesn't want to give credit to other people, especially women. Shocking. I may have grown during this episode, but Ty Warner certainly hasn't. Case in point, Ty said while he believes that Zach Galifianakis is a talented actor, he said a more appropriate choice to play him would have been Daniel Day-Lewis or Warren Beatty.
Oh my God.
And all I can say is, keep dreaming, pal. Reporting for True Crime and Cocktails, I'm Christy Oxborrow.
Well, listen, let's take a beanie break, hit the
Hey,
can, grab a drink, and we'll be back with our final thoughts and feelings on the Beanie, what are we calling Beanie Mania episode of True Crime and Cocktails. All right. Clap two on three. One, two, three. Welcome back to the Beanie Mania episode of True Crime and Cocktails. Oh, God, what a wild ride. Wild ride. Yes,
I know.
clutch.
Did I
Clutch Petey the raccoon.
did I mean to go and buy the product while we were talking about it? No. He's so cute. I can't
I think
stop.
that's bigger than all of us, though. I was
Yeah.
thinking about this because the one thing I wrote down at some point in my notes was just Legs the frog in all caps, and then Legs. It's just such a good name for a frog. It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Michigan J Frog. Um,
Oh, a classic.
I also had a stuffed, not beanie, not tie, but it was a stuffed ballerina frog, and she was in like a white satin outfit, and she had the very long legs. I should try and find her. I loved her. But it also made me think about how my high school boyfriend, the first one,
Mm, hmm.
he once got me a giant beanie baby, and it was a frog. Because again, spoiler alert, love
Of
frogs.
course.
And and I was like, I don't remember it being named Legs. I was like, I remember it being named Smoochie. And then I was like, maybe we just called it Smoochie. I Googled on the break. There was also a Smoochie the frog.
Got it. Got
And
it.
I remember too, not that I'll derail this for very long here, but I do remember that like we were so young, right? I was like
Mm.
15. And if we would get like kind of like about like we were going to get into an argument or something, decided it would be smart to implement a plan where it was like if we sensed the other person was getting upset, it was like,
Hmm.
hey, and then we just like show the person Smoochie the frog and be like, can't stay mad. But what it turned into was someone would start to get upset about something, and then the other person would go, sounds like somebody could use a little Smoochie the frog. And it became, it made everything worse.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, so that's a very specific Thai Beanie Baby memory to
I
share
couldn't be
there.
happier.
My God. Him and his father dating the same women, sometimes at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Not in my wildest dreams did I think that's
Nope.
where we would start this
Yeah.
journey, and yet
Here
here
we
we
are.
are.
Yeah.
Um, Legs the frog, legs. I just have to say, at one point, I started to like low chuckle to myself,
Okay.
like like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it was just because you were reading in the same tone that you read horrific things on this show. Like, when it would be like, the body was found, dismembered, and put into a suitcase. Bones the dog, Quackers the duck. Like it was the specifics of the names, but in like the
Mm-hmm.
Christy podcast true crime
Yeah.
voice, that it
Yeah.
just was tickling me. So I was literally like, like it was just making me laugh so hard.
This makes
So
so much
funny.
sense.
Oh God, it was so good. Lovey the lamb. Again, it was like with the gravitas. You gave it the same gravitas that you would a
Yeah,
murder, and to
I
that I
stuck with it.
say, we're lucky to have you.
Once I put the cans on, it's hard to be anybody else.
And I wouldn't want you to be. When you started talking about the checklists of Beanie Babies, and then you quoted a random collector, I honestly thought that you were going to reveal that you were quoting yourself. I really thought that you were going to be like, and as a prolific collector once said, and then you were going to say it, and then you were like, and that prolific collector was me. Like I was waiting for that.
I wish that was me because I thought it was so profound.
It
And I was,
it is.
and so I was like, it makes so much sense. I'm really upset it wasn't me.
Listen. You could claim it. Who would
Uh,
know?
well, I
Who would
wouldn't
know?
know.
Well,
We're not rule breakers.
exactly. That's not. We don't have it in us. Um, you of course brought up Labubus. I could do a whole episode about that. Would it have any true crime connection? Probably not. Um, I just know so much about them now. Now, you brought up Francis and Harold Mountain, and I just wrote down, wow, that's the third Harold in this episode. A name you don't hear that often, and we've had three,
Great call.
right? The fact that he was bringing in 1.4 billion, I believe at the time, and refused Lena a raise from her $12 an hour is truly Mr. Burns type
Mm.
shit.
Hmm.
Terrible. Disney villain type shit. Beanie Kids, not interested.
Oh, have you seen them?
I think I have actually, and I'm still not interested.
No, no. No.
No,
Just straight up
no
no.
thanks.
That's a no from me, dog.
Yeah. Also, the fact that he wouldn't lend his own sister $1,000, he's worth like he's on a billionaire list, like he's
Yeah.
still a billionaire, and he won't do it is crazy to me. Um, and again, it just speaks so deeply to his character, especially considering we know how badly his sister was treated. Like you would think that he would want to like help her because he couldn't help her when they were kids, and it's like it feels like he's just prolonging the abuse, like or like continuing where his father left off. It's very dark.
And also, after her, who else has he got?
Yeah.
He doesn't have anyone else in his life. So I'm just shocked that, like, at one point, he called her his best friend, but he's never met her children.
That's weird.
And I'm just like, what is this? I
Well,
don't
he
know.
doesn't seem like a super typical guy, I'll say that.
Very true. Very true.
Um, the fact that there was a murder over Beanie Babies. It's funny today. I was with some gal pals today, and I said, "Oh, I've got to go. We're recording the podcast," and they said, "Oh, what's the crime?" And I said, "Beanie Mania." And they said, "How does that connect to true crime?" And I said, "I don't know. There's always a way." And boy, oh boy, maybe we'll massage it a little bit. There was no massage needed here. There was direct true crime connections.
Yeah. Again,
Who?
I was just like, oh, I'm gonna get to like look through old beanie photos. I'm gonna get to like come up with like get the names and think of all the products and gosh, we're gonna reminisce about the 90s. What a lark. And then it was like him and his dad dated the same women. And I was like, what hell am I in? What
Well,
is
yeah.
this?
I mean, again, it does feel like, but isn't it always the way that an innocent childhood line of toys is, of course, created by somebody who's like a megalomaniac sociopath asshole?
Yep,
Yeah.
100%.
Um, Kiwi the frog. That's adorable.
Interesting. See, I didn't know if you'd like it if the name wasn't as connected, like peanut elephant.
I guess
I
for
see
me,
the leap there.
if you slice a kiwi in half and you turn it open, that
Mhm.
could be frog eyes.
Yep. I just I'm not saying no.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do we get I believe it was bubblegum. Oh God, bubblegum the koala and like yeah, I think it was the bubblegum one that bothered me the most. I was like, how do we get there? They don't always have to connect. It's just when they have a history of connecting, like Barry the bear and Cat Paws Cat or whatever. Like they always link, but there was like a bubblegum the koala or something.
Right.
And I was just like, what are we doing there?
It's so hard to know. I also need you to know that I looked at Kiwi right now, Kiwi the frog, really
Yeah.
quickly, and I was like, I don't know. And then it's revealed to me that there's a couple of versions of Kiwi, and one of them he's half pink, and we talked about it on the show.
Oh, yeah.
How desperately I'm in love with pink frogs.
Yeah.
Well, put it on the list. Um, Listen, Christy Oxborrow, thank you for your work. This was a true romp. My God, I mean, so much here. What a story. Yeah, it was a miraculous wild ride.
We did two heavy ones
Yeah.
in July, and I was like, I'm ready for something light.
Yes.
Light, fun, romp. I got this.
Yeah.
Not as
Well,
bad as it could
no,
have been.
this still feels very light in comparison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I listen and listen.
So,
I was gonna say not all murders are horrific. Well, no, inherently they're all horrific, but
mm,
anyway, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying. This isn't a serial killer or something sadistic. It was,
of
of course, an
course.
argument that's gone wrong. That murder.
Right.
Not defending it, but you know what I'm saying.
Of course.
Um, but listen, regardless, we thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this romp. If you haven't already, give us a follow on the socials on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at True Crime and Cocktails, on Twitter at Not Detectives. If you'd like some bonus content, go over to patreon.com/True Crime and Cocktails to learn more about our bonus subscription-based service over there. And of course, the only place to buy official True Crime and Cocktails merch is, of course, truecrewmerch.com. So check that out if you're interested. There's also the limited edition Kielbasa shirt available on there. It's right on the
Mhm.
homepage. You can't miss it. And I think you're really going to like it if you haven't checked that out. Give it a look. Christy, do you want to tell the people about next week's episode?
On the next True Crime and Cocktails, Anthea Bradshaw.
Beautiful. Can't wait. Don't know anything about this case and can't wait to learn about it from my best gal. Christy, do you want to say goodnight to the people?
I I thought I could do it without laughing. Sometimes during the episode, if I think of something, I'll write it down for this moment. I thought I could do it. You can do it. Good night, roller coaster finger bang.
Yeah. Good night, Milwaukee.